Hello, my beautiful people. How are you? Hope you're all doing fabulous. I'm doing well. Happy Easter, I believe. I believe it's after midnight when I'm making this video. So happy Easter to all those who celebrate. Today I wanted to make a video about the progress that we're making. You know, I've said it in other videos many times about how if you just scroll a little bit, you will see so many videos or posts or even memes where people are making fun of the government, making fun of, and I'm sorry, I just mentioned Easter, but religion, because a lot of it is taking advantage of people. It's playing it down. It's not empowering beings to be their sovereign, powerful, infinite, divine presence that they are. Not honoring the fact, the very real fact that we are all part of God. I would not sit here and say, I am God, I am Jesus. But we are downplaying it you're downplaying God when you go to church, for one, because it's much bigger than that. It's much bigger than that. The Bible many times is misinterpreted, screwed. Svengalis get up to the pulpit every Sunday and turn it into what they want it to mean so that it can be self-serving for their church, for their income, for their ego. Whatever suits them is what they're going to tell you because they're leading you. You're allowing yourself to be led. And the veil, when people talk about the veil, you don't have to be talking about being psychic, divination. The veil is your mind. The veil is all up here. It is what you're being conditioned to think, whether it be through church, whether it be through school, the radio, the internet, certain books that you read, your parents, not meaning to do you any harm. They're just passing down knowledge. Some do. I won't leave that out. Disclaimer. Some do mean harm, but most are just passing down what has been fed to them with maybe a little bit of adjustment here or there. They're still just regurgitating what they have been fed, what they've been taught, what they think that they need to teach you. So the veil is in your mind. It's what you've been brainwashed. I've said it before. How would you know if you were brainwashed? You wouldn't unless you isolate yourself. You have to isolate yourself in order to elevate so that you can shed yourself of that conditioning, so that you can go within and connect to your higher self, so that you question everything and then you get the answers. All of the answers are inside of you already. God has already given them to you by being part of you. If you just calm your mind, separate yourself from all of the things that you've been taught to believe and that you have to adhere to, or that this is what we have to do when it's not, that you are so sovereign. That is the beautiful thing about it. And being involved in politics for many years, I celebrated the sovereignty of the states. And it was very much limited to that. Just the word sovereign was that, we want to go by states' rights and not the federal government, because the federal government will come in and run all over you and do whatever they want to do, even though the states have their sovereignty and they can create their own laws and they don't have to go by the federal government, and they'll still run all over it. It doesn't mean a thing, but that's what we fought for, right? And so marijuana being an example, if a state wants to legalize marijuana for any kind of use, recreation or medicinal, if they want to incorporate, using hemp in anything for whatever, they are allowed to do that on a state level because they're sovereign. But still, at any moment, at any time, the federal government can come and plow down their door and arrest them because federally it's not legal. So it doesn't matter. They'll do that for any reason at any time for self-serving purposes. This is how the government, this is how religion, this is how schools, this is how a lot of police departments will operate if they're not checked. If there's nothing to regulate that you are sovereign, that a state is sovereign, that anything is sovereign, then it can and will be taken advantage of at any time that it serves the purpose of anyone that wants to abuse it, anyone that wants to abuse you, manipulate things, twist things, turn things. So the veil is all in your mind when you think that they have all of the power all of the time and that you have nothing because you are just at their mercy. That is where you're giving all of your power away. The power is by lifting the veil of your mind, the brainwashed mind. And we have all been brainwashed to some extent. Every single one of us, whether you know it or not. Before you become of age to question it, you were fed things. Your mind was fed things. You were taught things that somebody else wanted to teach you, whether it was done in a malicious, manipulative way or not. We've all been brainwashed. You just have to come to terms with admitting that. And when you get to a certain age, and we all will, it's what you do with that choice. It's what you do with that sovereignty that makes the difference. If you allow others to take your power and keep it, then they're going to. They're going to continue to use you as a doormat, as what was that called? One time that I was not naive. What did they call me? Can't remember. But yeah, just thinking that you're naive and that you don't know better, just because you don't call it out and you don't sit there acting like a know-it-all and you can play dumb, people will think that you are gullible. That's what it was. You're gullible, aren't you? No, I'm not. I just don't tell you everything that I'm thinking. I let you walk down this road for as far as you're going to walk down it without letting you know that I see you're exposing yourself every step of the way. And I'm not going to mess that up. I'm going to keep letting you do it. But if you don't educate yourself, if you don't pull your power back and stand fully in your power by lifting the veil of all of the things that have been fed to your mind to make you a tool for someone else, to let yourself be taken advantage of, and to not step into the knowing of how powerful you are and that they need you to give that power away to them. They need you to react. They need you to fit their narrative. They need you to fit the mold in which they are trying to put you in to keep you small and controlled. They need you to do that. If you don't give that away to them, they have nothing. They have absolutely nothing, and they know that, which is why they try so hard, the powers that were, to control the masses, because they don't want to give up what they've spent generations and generations building up so that they could have sheep that they could control and do whatever they want, and therefore the rich stay rich, the poor get poorer, and there's a divide. They divide and conquer. This is how they control you with every single thing. But to me, it's about transcending the body. Transcending the body in a way that you are not giving your power away by willingly staying behind the veil, by not questioning everything, by not going within and letting your higher power, your higher self lead you. By not even calling it God. Hopefully one day on my messages, I won't have to call it God. I only call it God because that's what I was raised to believe. I don't call it God because I'm trying to appeal to a certain audience. I wish that I didn't have to, because religion has screwed so many people that I talk to up in a way that if I say God, for instance, the lady that I described to be a gem in one of my last videos, about how she was just amazing and I loved her and her presence, and that there's people out there still like that, and that they're opening their minds, and they're in coming out of the 4D, or they're in the 4D questioning everything. That I love those people. When I started talking to her and I mentioned the word God, she immediately wanted to shut her ears. And not because she's an atheist, not because she's agnostic, and more power to them too. Believe whatever you want as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else. But it's so difficult for me to express what I mean about our source, about where we come from, by saying God, because so many people have been taken advantage of in church and by religion. It's so much bigger than what I've experienced, and I didn't know this fully in the here and now, because for one, I'm not allowing comments, and I'm not doing a back and forth with people. It's very rare for me to open myself up in public and talk to people about what I talk about on my channel face to face, because I'm not going to argue with anybody, and there's a lot of people that want a reaction out of me or an argument out of me or to see me lose my cool or whatever the many tactics that have been tried. And she wasn't going to do this. So I did open myself up and open up this conversation to her. And we had a little while together, so there was time. But yeah, as soon as I said the word God, she was like, And I was like, wait, hold on. And I didn't even ask her experience. I just knew. I could tell. I could read her energy, her body language. She was shutting down. And I was like, look, I was raised in a Christian school. I was raised in church a lot. I married a pastor's son at one point. It was very much force-fed to us at one point, and by a hypocrite. So I understand where you're coming from. I've been hurt by it too. And just going out there and peddling the term church hurt doesn't fix anything, because it's still happening. You can't use the term church hurt and be like, come in, we understand church hurt. You're still church hurting in that church hurt environment. So coining the term and getting people in your door by saying that you acknowledge it, you have to completely restructure your whole, just make it about fellowship. Let people stand up and share their own testimonies for a whole thing. Now, I love hymnals. Get up and sing your hymnals. But allowing just one person or anybody to gain employment off of a church, to survive off of tithes. If you want to tithe to the church, pull it together and use that for whatever people in the church need, towards the homeless, towards whatever worthy charity or place that you think that your tithe needs to go. Vote on it. You all do your individual things with your tithe and come into church and tell how you helped this person or that person or these people or whatever with your tithe. Come in and share your stories. Empower each other to help others and let kindness ripple. Stop making it about the hierarchy in a church. Completely take the hierarchy out of the church. And then people might open their mind to not thinking that this church is going to hurt them like a lot of other churches or religion has hurt them. That's just my 2 cents on it. But in time, I hope that I don't have to say God. And not because he isn't God, but God makes him small. God makes him small. Just by calling it God makes it too small. And in turn, it makes us too small. And that is what is happening on a grand scheme by the media, by the government, by the powers that were. So I hope to one day be able to get away from that and transcend the body and all of the sins that come with the flesh, all of the ego, basically, to move that out of the way and be able to be a sovereign, free thinker that just goes within for the answers and nowhere else, because that's all you need to do is go within. You don't need anybody to lead you but our power source from inside of you, because when you meditate and you lift the veil of your mind, quieten your mind, go out in nature, pray, however it is that you connect to source without any interruptions, without anyone else having anything to do with that except for you, your soul, your source, that's the only way that we're going to do it. That's the only thing that you need to do. That's where all of your power lies. And the powers that were know that. They know that, and they have nothing, absolutely nothing without it. And before this moment in time, this is why the shift that's happening is so powerful, and it's a great time to be alive, because if you pay attention to how this most recent space mission, the all-female space mission that just went down, and the revolt that's happening in by the public, by the masses, is a beautiful thing to see. This is how you know, not just by going online, because you might not sync up with those things. That's why the algorithms are there. It's going to keep more of the same being put in your face. So if you're not going out and looking for it, you might not see what I'm talking about. And you can go, well, she's just saying that because that's what she wants to happen. No, if you just use this one example, and I'll give you another one too that it's totally different direction, but I'll do that in a minute. But this space mission, the people that have commented on these videos are like, this is bull. They expect us to believe this. They want us to gobble up all of this and be like, okay, that's a wonderful woman empowerment. We're making space. We're creating space. Like, nobody is falling for this. And there's only been, like, I would say 5% of the people that I've seen comment on this or make videos on this that are actually like, hey, I like Gayle King. I like Katy Perry. What they said was great. It teaches girls that they can do, if they have $24 million, a girl can do anything if they want $24 million. And a lot of people don't even think that they went to space at all. And if they do believe that they went to space, that they only went to the very, very teeny tiny outside edge of it. And then if you do, afford them the effort of judging what someone else does with their money, which is questionable, because I really don't believe that you should judge, but that they are very tone deaf and that they would throw in a second, throw that kind of money at this 11-minute trip. If you expect us to believe that they actually went there, they would throw $24 million at it in a second for 11 minutes and not have a huge movement towards helping other causes that are a huge problem in our society today, such as homelessness, such as domestic violence, anything that is problem ridden in our society today, that they would completely shun that and throw millions, I mean, not just a couple, but millions and millions and millions of dollars towards that 11 minutes. And then come back and have the audacity to be offended that we don't think that they deserve the respect of being called an astronaut or praise them, or just immediately without question be like, they went to space and there was no acting involved in that, or there was no word salad being spewed at these press conferences that didn't make any bit of sense at all, or not questioning the fact that the door opened before they were supposed to be let out when it's meant to be a pressurized cabin. That was really, they can't deny that. It was live streamed. That's what you get for live streaming. No mask can be worn forever, not even the mask of the powers that were. They're going to slip up. They're going to tell on themselves. It's going to start sounding like word salad. It's going to start sounding like piss, and people are refusing to drink it anymore, and that is the mainstream thing. In the past, you would have had to create independent documentaries in droves, create your own website, your Facebook pages, troll those that are promoting these things and call them out on your own, being rogue, being a crusader, and being called, most importantly, a conspiracy theorist. And the conspiracy theorists are becoming mainstream and less being called a conspiracy theory. I think the most that I saw people arguing about and not being on the same team was the flat earth thing. And still, even to be in the flat earth argument, which I don't want you to argue about anything, is to be in the 40, because you're questioning everything. Now, you are going to get stuck there, and I don't want you to get stuck there. I want you to continue to the 5D, because that's where we're going to split into old earth and new earth. Look that up. I'm not making it up. It's completely being talked about on lots of platforms. But and look up Dolores Cannon. She is old school. She has long been passed, but she has been talking about old earth and new earth for years. So go look up some of her stuff too, because that is what's happening now. What she was talking about back then is what's happening now when it comes to old earth and new earth. And that's why it's such a beautiful time to be alive. That's why a lot of beings chose to reincarnate at this time. There's not a lot of quote unquote baby souls on planet Earth right now, because most beings that are here right now chose to incarnate in this time for this very reason, because this is what a lot of work and progress that has been put into how this is all coming to a pinnacle right now. This is why. This is the why. So, and love is why. Loving yourself, loving each other, because when that separation happens, and it's already started to happen, you're going to get left behind. But in the past, conspiracy theorists have had to be beat over the head with criticism by people coming out of the woodwork trying to debunk them. And I would just ask you now that, because you are in agreement, I mean, I've seen all races in agreement with this space mission thing. I've seen all genders or lack thereof being in agreement on this thing. That, like I said, the only thing that I really see a lot of people arguing about is the flat earth thing. And do not get caught up on that. Do not get caught up on that. But it is good that you are in the 40. The 40 is where you start questioning things like that. And that's wonderful that you made it that far, that you are actually trying to find answers and you're asking questions and you're doing that research. But do not get caught up in the arguing, because that's more of the same of what the powers that were want you to do. It's just a different topic, okay? They're still sitting back and smiling about that, because it doesn't matter what you argue about. The division and the staying in the low vibrational frequencies is where they want you to be, no matter how you do it, whether they get you to do it or whether you get yourself to do it, or however you participate in that. They're still sitting back smiling at it, because you're not raising your vibrations. You're not in harmony. You're not in peace. You're not creating that heaven on earth for yourself. You're staying in the karmic trauma. You're not choosing to heal and love and be at peace and unity with others. The I am, you're not part of the I am. You're going to be left behind. But I think people questioning in the comments about the space mission, saying what was going on when the space mission happened. So they're actually starting to look at the monkey, the whole little monkey with the symbols. Look at the monkey. They're creating a distraction, a huge thing that all of the media will put in your face constantly. And even the reaction videos, I'm afraid, they're catching your attention. And so people are saying, I just want to know what was happening while they were doing this, because that's usually what these things are about. Not only do they serve the purpose of getting you to argue or be in low vibrations, but this is a smoke screen for something else that is going on that they don't want you to look at. They want you to look at the monkey, whatever display, whatever big thing that they're putting on a show with at the time, to get you to look away and distract you from the things that are actually going on. And I haven't looked into that, but I'm so glad that people are asking that question. These are only things in the past that they would have said conspiracy theorists would have done. And now nobody's saying, well, you're a conspiracy theorist. This is like something that people are uniting on. And I love it, because the control that they thought they had over the masses, the illusion of control, because there's no such thing. No such thing. Source is in control. You're in control of yourself and how you respond and react to it. And Source sees all of that. But the powers that were never in control. It was fool's gold. It was smoke and mirrors. It allowed them to keep going down that road, just like the people that thought I was gullible, that think all of America and the whole world is gullible, that they have fed on these things and been like, okay, this whole time. It has allowed them to keep going down this road so far that there's no way that they can dig themselves out of that hole now. There's no way. There's no turning back. You have gone too far. There's no room for redemption. There's no room for backpedaling. There's no way that you can spin it to say, oh no, that's really not what I meant. I wasn't trying to do that. You've gone too far. They've gone too far now, and they've started taking the veil off and asking the questions for themselves and seeing that it's piss, and there's no way that they can backpedal now. So when the separation has started to happen, there's no way to confuse the two on who is on what side. And I don't mean a side to argue on at all. I don't mean the separation means that anyone should argue. But you know who is ascending and who is not ascending. It's clear. It's crystal clear. It's right smack in your face and you can't ignore it anymore. And that's why it's such a beautiful thing, because people aren't falling for everything that they're seeing anymore. And they're wondering what's happening behind the scenes while they're doing those things to make us enamored and believe all of this manipulation. It's amazing, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And the other thing before it slips my mind that I was gonna say is an example of it is I watch these videos on the tiny homes and how people aren't just falling for whatever the housing market is making them. They're not succumbing to complete homelessness. You know, they might have fallen into it and done the hotel thing or been in a shelter or whatever, but a lot of them are spending their money on building tiny homes or homes on wheels so that they can travel, so that they can be free and not be slaves to working constantly and not having any time or for themselves, or time to grow, to commit to their growth, time to spend with their family and their loved ones, or to travel and see and learn and do what they want to do with their life, and not just being on that hamster wheel constantly. So many people are out there either building their own tiny homes or their own homes on wheels, or they are allowing others to do it for them. So many people, their occupation now is building these things for people if they don't know how to do it themselves, because they've done it so many times on their own that they can just crank these things out, and they're so self-sufficient. They are off grid. These people are living off solar. They're living off propane. They're living off just filling up on water and propane and having solar, or plugging into campsites and using voltage like that. Working on their mobile, working from home. That's what the pandemic did. That is a plus for all of us, because they did control us by making us go into quarantine. And that was a test to see if we would all do it. And we had to. So they saw that was control. They also did it with the vaccines, which now I remember at the time talking to someone that was Democratic, and I was talking about Rand Paul and how he handed Fauci his ass. They were like, yeah, whatever. And now Fauci's like, his name is mud, because they see all of the things, all of the harmful things that these vaccines have done to people, and they did not need to take them at all. It did them more harm than good. It was just another control tactic. So check on your vaccines, guys. My youngest is not vaccinated and my oldest was, and I completely wish that I had woke up sooner and I had started questioning things, and that I hadn't vaccinated either of them. And nobody ever better stick them with anything their whole life, because I have educated them to kingdom come about what they don't tell you is in there, and how it's just a control tactic. So check up on your vaccinations. But yeah, that's another way that the tiny home, the mobile home thing, is that people, they raised the mortgage rates, and then in turn the rental rates raised, which they were never affected. Like the apartment complexes in these the property management, they should never have raised the rent. And if they felt like they needed to at the time, they never came down. And if anything, they kept rising. It's impossible for people to afford places to rent nowadays. And hotels are even worse. So it makes it harder to get out of that rut and to become independent. We're all just a paycheck away from that, most of us. Unless you're part of the 1%, no one is not at risk for being susceptible to homelessness, which is why you should all care more about where the rich are putting their money in these 11-minute trips to space, and not caring about the homeless. But even the homeless or the close to homeless are taking their power back and creating affordable ways for them to live their life and not have to be slaves and to actually enjoy the time that they have here. And that is a beautiful thing also. So not just um, not just the space thing, but the housing market. People are waking up to that and they're creating better solutions because the powers that were want it to be like that. They're not doing anything to help them or to stop it. There are charities out there that I'm not saying that there's not people out there that don't help the homeless. That is not true. There's shelters, there's organizations, there's lots of people that help. But when we're talking about government, when we're talking about the elite, they want it to be like that. They would prefer that the separation happen like that with the haves and the have-nots. So they're not trying to help them, but those people are trying to help themselves, and they're questioning everything. Like, well, why? Why in the world? But the other thing that I wanted to talk about when I touched on the old earth and the new earth are those that it's all a choice. The choice is yours. What do you choose to do with your life? And if you want to stay in those, in the karma, in the karmic situations, in the low vibrations, you want to commit to a life of honoring your trauma and wallowing in it and commiserating with others, and then perpetuating that and letting your hurt self hurt others or pass down that abuse and that trauma to future generations. That is your choice. It is also a choice, as you being a sovereign, divine, powerful being, to take your power back and to heal yourself, to do your shadow work, to stand in your power, to speak your truth, to share your story with others, to let them know how you did it and how they can do it too. To go within, everything is within. Stop letting other people lead you. Just be inspired by others that have done it, because you can do it too. And it is so worth it that you will create that heaven on earth. And when the separation completes, that is what, if you want to believe in the rapture, is. It's not Jesus coming again. It's people going within and connecting to their higher self, which is the same thing as you connecting with Source, with Jesus, with God, whatever name you want to put on it, the divine, your higher power, your father, your father in heaven, whatever you want to call it. You going within and connecting within and all of the answers being inside of you, that is how the rapture will occur. The people that do that and the people that don't. It's not Jesus actually coming here physically to earth. That's not it. That's just how it's been spun to make you believe that it's, oh, he's coming, he's coming. You need to go within and connect to your higher self, to Source. That's the only way that you are going to be separated as not left behind from the rapture, not separated into the old earth. If you are part of the new earth, you are ascending to the 5D. You are transcending the body. We are light beings in new earth. And this is not my term. I mean, people are going to call you crazy because they want to think that they're right and they want to stay stuck in their old ideas and traditions and religion, and they don't want to give it up, kicking and screaming, whatever. Do what you want. That's on you. That's on you. You, in your own time, are going to come to your own choice. You're going to make that, and you have to live with that. But it's not going to be sustainable after so long. You see what's happening. You see people are waking up. You see the revolution. It is occurring right now, in the here and now. Not later. It is already starting. It's a gradual thing. It's not a bang thing. It is happening. And if you are not with it, then you're not going to be able to go. You're not going to be able to go. You're not going to be able to continue to affect those that are trying to do this. They are not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to convince you. I just want to inspire you. And if you make that choice for yourself and you can follow somewhat of a footprint, a blueprint of mine, then do that. But you're going to have to do it in your own way. Everything works differently for every being. You're not going to be able to do exactly what I did. Now, maybe I can be the catalyst for your growth and you can use some of the things, but it's all going to be individual to you. Not everybody can use the exact same thing. You can't replicate my success because your life is different than mine. And you have to use your own willpower, your own strength to continue that process, because there's going to be times where you want to give up and I'm not going to be there, or other people that inspire you and cheer you on aren't going to be there. You're going to have to go within and find that in yourself and do it in your own way. But that is the rapture, folks. If you want to believe in that, I don't want to call it that, but that's how I am putting it to you in a way that you will understand that it's not a physical thing, it's a spiritual thing. And we are all so powerful that I want you to have access to that by going within, not by listening to me, by listening to your higher self, because that is the separation that is occurring right now. And the proof that I gave you with how people are thinking and how they're not accepting these old belief systems, and they're not giving into the fear to hand all of their rights away. Patriot Act, 9/11. And if you were questioning the things that would have made you a quote unquote conspiracy theorist in the past, but it's mainstream now, if you are opening your eyes to the things now, then go back and revisit things like 9/11. Go back and revisit other things that you blindly accepted as the truth, because it's all the same. It's all made of the same cloth. It was all designed to do the same thing to you. And if you let it do it to you before and not now, go back and question those things and just go back over some of the things that were told you about. Um, the temperature in which steel becomes a liquid, and that jet fuel cannot do that. And go back and watch some of those videos and look at how like buildings that weren't even right there beside or affected by the Twin Towers in those planes looked like a controlled demolition, because they were. Go back and revisit things like that, because the Patriot Act has ripped you and raped you of your rights, and it was all credit to 9/11, because they either made it happen or they let it happen. And lots of things happened while you were looking at that monkey behind your back. So all of the things that the conspiracy theorists have said in the past are in correlation with these things that you have your eyes open to now. So don't look back. Go back and question those things, and don't let it fool you in the future, because it was all by design. It was all by design, and I want you all to go within, to wake up and go within and remove that veil that is your mind that has been fed bullshit from birth, because you're better than that, you're more powerful than that, and they know it, which is why they're trying so hard to hold on to whatever illusion of control that they thought they had for years and years and years. But it is no more. It is no more, and it is amazing to see, and I want you all to be a part of it and not be left behind. And they're going to call you crazy. They're going to call you all kinds of things for coming to these conclusions, but there is no other conclusion. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. People are waking up, and I love it. I love it, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud to watch those comments and know that people had to fight tooth and nail to get their opinions heard, and then to be slammed and just beat up and brutalized by the masses because they were just falling in line. They were falling in line. It was all working, but now it's stopping. It's not working anymore. And I feel like all of that hard work, or all of the names that we were called in the past, it was all worth it, because everyone's starting to see, and the sooner that people look into Trump and Elon, I mean, every so often Trump will say something that I'm like, okay, and Elon too, okay. But if you look at how long that Elon has been acting in government now, and look up how long that a person that has not been elected, that is put in a position like that, has before their time is up. I think it's like 130 something days, 150 days. And look how long that Trump's been in office, and how long that Elon will continue to stay in his seat, and how long that he will act in that seat past the limit that he is supposed to. And I know he will all say, oh, well, that's when people will make up excuses and say that there's good reason for that, but they're abusing their power. They're abusing the limits that have been set into place for a reason. Question everything, because it's stopping, and I don't want you to be left as a zombie and wallowing in your trauma. I love you all. God loves you. You're never alone. I'll see you later. Bye.